Thanks for joining us on the Public Eye. This is the Bridge 99 FM. Today is the 11th of October, 2023 in beautiful Jamaica. You know, whatever the problems, whatever the deficiencies, self-imposed, externally generated, Jamaica is a beautiful place. It's a good place to live here. It's a good place to invest. It could be better. That's what we talk about on this station, on this program. But ingratitude is a terrible, terrible vice. And so we begin this program, as always, with giving thanks for the life that we live in this God-blessed country. This is the Bridge 99. This is a media house which is devoted to lifting up Jamaica, to giving those from the rock and those who are in love with the people on the rock to express themselves, to appreciate all the more the gift that God has given us and the promise and the prospect of us getting together and ensuring that things improve for all, and that in fact we achieve all of the promise that we have within ourselves. And so thanks so much for joining us. The co-host of this program, the Honorable Pernell Charles Sr., hasn't come yet. So I'll keep it going until he does. The spirited discussion between the two of us is, of course, the essence of this program. You can reach us on the WhatsApp line. It's 876-551-5782. And the studio line is 876-676-4996. Call us if you will. And download the mobile app from the Android Play Store and the Apple Store. And it's the Bridge 99 FM. It's a new version. It's a new institution in media in Jamaica. Happy to be part of it. Thanks very much again for your company. Give you the numbers, 876-551-5782, 876-676-4996. Coming up in the program a little bit later today, Ambassador Curtis Ward, retired Jamaican diplomat living in the United States. He is a consistent blogger on international issues, diplomatic affairs, and he weighs in on the Israeli Palestinian war that's going on at present. What's a Jamaican perspective? Should our government have come out as strongly in favor of the Israelis as it did? What are the consequences for Jamaica? What are the background implications? And where are the interests of both the Israeli people and the Palestinians going to lie going forward on this, what I believe is the fifth or the sixth day of the slaughtering that's going on between those two people? What's the background? How does it affect us? Ambassador Curtis Ward later on. And after the 1 o'clock time signal and observances, Ralston Hyman, the producer and presenter of Real Business on Power 106, economist, financial commentator, joins us to talk about the International Monetary Fund's downgrade of Jamaica's growth potential, growth forecasts given yesterday. I don't know about you listening to the program, but I was ashamed and sorry when I heard that indeed the MAGA, you know Jamaica word MAGA? You don't spell it M-A-G-R-E, you spell it M-A-W-G-A, right? The MAGA growth forecast that we had of 2.5%, maybe 3% growth, that this was being downgraded, and probably it's only 1.5, maybe bucking 2% for this year, and similarly anemic growth going forward. You see, this is important because our diaspora listeners need to know that the way things are running now, the people who they have to turn back and help send the barrels, send the Western Union and other remittance to Jamaica is not likely to grow any less. Why? Because the system where we have don't make for the breadth of opportunity, the increase in capacity to work, to earn, that we really need as a people. The IMF the World Bank is saying to us, sure, we will increase your credit rating. That's because you're good in paying back the money that you have borrowed, and that's a very good thing. Don't misunderstand me at all. But that doesn't filter down to the lives of the ordinary people, you know. And I tell you, things were rough out on the street in Jamaica. Diaspora people listening to us, you're doing it already, I know, but if there's some people who you can help a little better from your little to make a muckle out here, I beg you do it, no? The price of everything gone up. Yes? A small lunch now in downtown Kingston is costing you $6.50, $700. How can that work? The transport fees, the bus fare go up yesterday. I don't know how they're going to calculate 15% on $130. Yes, but we'll talk about that later. But even if people don't just ramp it up to the $200, which is that what I fear is going to happen on the street, then the question is, if you are earning minimum wage or small money from a BPO, how you can afford that? If you have to take 2 transport to go to work and come back, 2 to come back, where the money left after that? Because it's $1,000. And if you have a child, you can't get that child less than $1,000 to go to school nowadays. By the time they pay bus fare and have snack and lunch money. And if you don't give them that, yes, what prospects of good learning do you think you will have? So these are some of the big issues in Jamaica today, and these are some of the things that we really have to check out and to see how we can do better. I'm coming from a seminar at the University of the West Indies where they're looking at how to finance tertiary education, that is university education. And we don't have any big endowments, although a lot was tried in that regard. Somebody like late Mr. Siago was helping to build up the endowments, the Honorable Dennis Lila. So Jamaican business chip in, but not enough to cover the costs that the majority of students cannot afford to pay at our institutions, but which have to be met in order for quality education. So we have to look and see what kind of system that we can create so that people can go to university, have somewhere decent to sleep, have something to eat. Plenty of university students don't have enough food, I wonder if you know that. We have to build a culture where students are prepared to work alongside their studies. We don't have that culture as you do in Canada or the United Kingdom or United States, principally United States and Canada. When we do that, we are in a position to help. When people used to put down something from the start and make up our money by the time a child was 18 to go to high school or to go to university, this is what we have to start again. Yeah, just sending the money at September morning or January morning is not the answer, That is only part of it. What we need to do is to be engaging our financial institutions to set up systems that are going to help students to make the grade at university level. And this is we're not having any kind of low income economy. We want an economy where people are in fact at the highest potential and are able to get the best education in order to advance themselves and to advance the country. The country's, the very fact that our growth forecasts have had to be diminished, diluted, is because we don't have enough people who are trained in order to perform well-paying, high-value jobs, which can, in fact, engage the investors from abroad and also among ourselves. Honorable Mr. Charles, good morning and good day, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I hope you're hearing and all that you've been saying. Been chatting you up.
I didn't hear much of that. I was running to make sure that you didn't get me overtime. And exactly 10 minutes after.
Well, thank you very much. You've been good at that.
So give me a hint of what you were going on.
Well, we were talking about the issue of the difficulties that people have affording food and the cost of living increases. And I was regretful that the International Monetary Fund last night said that Jamaica's growth forecasts have had to be downgraded.
Yes.
I'm not making a political point of it at all. I'm wondering what is it in the structure of our economy that prevents us from achieving higher growth rates than we do. What is it that we can produce? What services can we sell? How much more education do we need in order to make that possible?
What we need to find out, what does or do the IMF measure to give us a grade?
Well,
is it
Yes,
Go ahead.
GDP,
Yeah.
gross domestic product, the increase of the value of goods and services produced.
Yes. So, and then we look at what are we producing and what has prevented us
Yeah.
from produce
More.
But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, my pet cry is food.
Yes.
Jamaica should or must produce more food.
Yes.
But to do that, you have to get the right people to produce it.
Yes.
One more step. Who are the right people? There are people in Jamaica who can get money to borrow, and if they were in the production field that serve schools, thousands of them, tourism, millions of them, the rest of us, 2 million. Now, that is one thing that they must have, food.
You know, I'm grateful for you because I hadn't focused it that way in my early remarks.
Yes.
This is exactly when I served in government, I called in the chicken producers
Yes.
and the Jamaica producers, banana people, and
Yes, yes.
so on. And I said, how can you produce something that can feed the children who are coming to school?
Yes.
And I'm sorry to say we didn't get very far. It's
Well-
much easier to import something.
Could I disturb you? That's hold your point.
Yeah,
Because if you had asked the hotels,
yeah,
the Ministry of Tourism
yeah.
is campaigning internationally.
Uh-huh.
The airlines are landing from all over the world.
Uh-huh.
The tourists are coming in. So most of them come here to eat some Jamaican food.
Yes.
What do they get? They get the rice they left at home. They even get an imported cabbage. They even get, as far as I am concerned, if we had two Ministry of Agriculture,
Mm-hmm.
one for the top and one for the bottom.
Or a Ministry of Food. But this is why you remember one of our colleagues,
Yes.
J.C. Hutchinson,
Yes.
in St. Elizabeth.
Yes.
He had an idea of reviving agricultural production. This was at Holland in St. Elizabeth.
Yes.
And he was very clear exactly these tiers that you speak of.
Yes.
The first tier, the best produce, would be exported.
Yes.
People like our friend Steve McDonald would get his best produce.
Right.
The next level would be and the hotels. The next level would be for local consumption,
Right.
and the third level would be processed for school feeding,
Dead on.
prisons, etc.
And the third phase that you brought there would be for schools,
Yes, institutions.
institutions
Yes,
like
yes,
tourism,
yeah.
hospitals.
Hospitals.
In other words, we have enough people, both in the diaspora
Mm-hmm.
and here, that if we concentrate on just feeding them. Now, do we have a problem? Yes, we have a problem. We have a climatic problem. We have hurricanes to afraid of. We have hot weather, and we have too much water. Can man control that? Certainly. We can manage it.
But then,
But then the poor farmer who don't have anywhere to go and get loans,
yeah.
he cannot
Well, you
do
see,
what the big man is supposed to do.
so hallelujah. Guess what we're talking about now? Having proper storage for your product. We're probably losing 40% of our farm grade
Yes,
before
yes.
farm grade
Yes.
get sales. Two, what we need is credit.
Yes.
Yes, and we certainly need to have a drive to feed our people with as much local produce, and our visitors as much local produce as possible. Okay? Why aren't we doing this, sir? Why are we? There are a couple of people who are doing it, you know. There are a couple of people. But it's not nearly enough.
There are a couple of people doing the right thing, but not enough doing the right thing. In other words, there are too many people not doing anything, and the little that is shared between little and little.
So
So the truth is this, that if we were producing schools would have more food,
Of course.
education would be better,
Sure.
hotels,
Would retain more of the tourism dollar.
right, because they import less.
Yes.
And in other words, it is the only subject and the only product, did I say it right? Let us say one-off, and maybe the best stuff, right? Because everybody's going to say mine is good and that. But to me, if we were able to go in God's earth and grow melon,
Whatever it
pumpkin,
is that we can.
cabbage,
Yeah.
carrot, tomato, running. I sat with Edward Siaga in the ministry,
Uh-huh.
and he was finance minister. And what I'm telling you is what he was telling me.
So, Daddy, why
Hold on, 1 minute.
why we not do it?
Hold a word. He started to do it.
Yes.
And a magnificent project,
Spring Plain.
Spring Plain.
Yeah, I agree.
And let me tell you something. I made a suggestion to him one day, and I must tell you, he looked at me and laughed and said, "You're reading my mind." I said, "Leader, I have no problem if you take the biggest tomato and export it, you know. Give me the medium and smaller one. It's the same tomato.
Yeah, man.
And the small one and the medium is not acceptable to the man abroad.
No.
So we have a market.
Yeah.
When we go down to St. Elizabeth, they have a problem
Uh-huh.
because we were not able to give them water.
Uh-huh. We
So
chose
that
we
halfway
chose not
through the
to.
year, them crop burned down.
We chose not to give them water. We chose to invest in things that had no return. That we chose not to do those basic infrastructure things. And then we talk about the market must do it, and the financial system and the commercial system are not accustomed to that. They are post-colonial relics that look different ways than towards food sufficiency. There are a couple of exceptions. Yes. And Barclays Bank will tell you that they invested in agriculture and failed. Grace Kennedy will tell you that they did the same thing. We need, but whatever the histories are, I am asking us today. I'm shocked. A small lunch, yes, a small lunch downtown Kingston is $650 now.
Well, you want me to tell you something better than that because
Who can afford that?
You know, I've been home for a few days.
Yes.
And talking to myself.
Yes.
How much was for the price of a patty 2 years ago?
Probably $150.
How much for a patty today?
Nearly $300, sir.
300?
Yes, sir.
Up to 400 and something dollars.
God bless you.
Now, what is the percentage increase on that?
Uh-huh.
$50 to $400.
Yeah, 300-400%.
So therefore, if you were earning
Yes, sir.
$50,
Yeah.
you know what I'm going at, right?
Yes, sir.
In other words, don't tell me
Uh-huh.
that this thing has to be the way. I came here months ago and asked you, Rani, do you believe if we had not increased prices and wages, we would have been in a better position? And when you presented economic growth and development under Dr. Clark, I agree that we had to move forward.
Yeah.
And I agree that sometimes sun burn us down, and I agree that hurricane blow us down and water soak us down. But other countries have beat that.
Yes.
Why can't we?
Why can't we? So I ask a question: isn't it a state activity to so seed these projects, to ensure that they happen, so that we give financial incentives or coercion, where I hesitate to use the term, so that we put investment where it is going to do something. If somebody control your food, they control your life. And so what are we celebrating independence? What are we celebrating heritage for if we're not looking at that basic thing?
Yeah, you know what we are celebrating?
Right, sir.
We are celebrating the fact that other people are feeding us.
And not
We're
prepared for that.
alive.
But we, you see, have a...
No, I want to, and I have to give some credit to Ed Bartlett.
Uh-huh.
Because we're whatever, and his team,
Yeah.
because it's not a minister team
Yeah.
alone. There's a hotel team, there's
Yeah.
a diaspora team, there's also a team. But people are coming here.
Are we getting the best benefit for them? We have to hold that question because
Of course.
our guest is on the line.
This is the problem.
That is the problem. Ambassador Curtis Ward, good day to you, sir. Is Ambassador Ward hearing us? Jeff, help me now. Hello. Ambassador Curtis Ward is a retired diplomat, Jamaican diplomat, and I asked him, Burnell, to join us today to talk about this Israeli-Palestinian conflict. What's its origins? Maybe many people in Jamaica and the diaspora don't fully know, and what are the consequences for countries like us? What does it say? Well, indeed, we have a speaker for the House of Representatives in the United States.
Yes.
I'm glad it's him rather than the other man who is even further to the right than Scalise. But I'm not sure how that is going to.
Is this the man that Mr. Trump back?
No, Mr. Trump backed the other man.
Man.
So automatically, I wanted him to lose. Ambassador, good day to you.
How are you, sir? Good day to both of you.
Thank you very much for joining us once again. Ambassador Curtis Ward, retired Jamaican diplomat. Ambassador, thank you for sending me the Ward blog, and thank you for being so pointed about the morals and the politics of the Hamas incursion or invasion into Italy. You make the point that... Into Israel, excuse me. Wow. You make the point that it is on any rubric, on any principle, it is indefensible. It is terrorism. Ambassador, that's your position, eh?
It meets all the criteria that we've established for terrorism.
Yeah.
You begin by taking civilian lives wantonly.
Yes.
You know, and that in itself, terrorism, whether domestic or international,
Yeah.
this becomes international because there is a border between Israel and Gaza. And killing women and children, passionately, taking hostages back into Gaza, all qualifies as a terrorist act.
Okay, but
And I more or less spelled this out in my article, as you quite rightly said.
I thank you for that. But tell me now, what is the background to this attack by Hamas? Does it have any history to it, or is it just bad-minded?
No, there's a long history of the Palestinian question. And you know, we can't bury our heads in the sand. That just happened overnight out of the blue. It has been festering for a long time. And had Hamas attacked Israeli military, nobody would be calling it a terrorist act. It's the nature of the attack, savagery of the attack, which classifies it as terrorism. But the whole Palestinian question has been with us for 70 years. And the current government of Netanyahu kept up the oppressive policies of Palestinians in the West Bank.
Ambassador, I'm looking at a statement from the Harvard Palestine Solidarity Group, which reads in part as follows. We, the undersigned student organizations, hold the Israeli regime entirely responsible for all unfolding violence. Today's events did not occur in a vacuum. For the last 2 decades, millions of Palestinians in Gaza have been forced to live in an open-air prison, Israeli officials promised to open the gates of hell, and the massacres of Gaza have already commenced. Palestinians in Gaza have no shelters for refuge and nowhere to escape. In the coming days, Palestinians will be forced to bear the full brunt of Israelis' violence. They speak about an apartheid regime is the only one to blame. Israeli violence has structured every aspect of Palestinian existence for 75 years. Are they right?
No. Whenever you begin to ascribe complete responsibility on one side, you are not being objective. There's no question that Israel has reduced the Palestinians in Gaza to a subhuman existence. There's no question about that. There's no question about the control and the oppression by Israel of Palestinians. We are very familiar with that. But when we speak of Hamas, Hamas does not represent the majority of the Palestinian people. As a matter of fact, in Gaza alone, polls after polls have shown that the majority of the Palestinian people do not agree with Hamas or support Hamas. Hamas keep them under subjugation and controls their existence as much as Israel controls the existence of the entire Gaza. Over 10 years ago, Israel withdrew from Gaza and closed its border to cross-border traffic. It has choked off commerce with Gaza. So yes, Israel has created an environment which is conducive to the breeding of violent extremism and terrorism. There's no question about that.
So what should they do then? You're saying you're acknowledging this background, and yet you are saying, and I agree with you, that does not justify the wanton terrorism of the attacks that they made. But then, if not that, who is listening to them? What other recourse do they have? You're a retired diplomat, so diplomacy has failed.
Well, diplomacy has not worked for decades when it comes to the Palestinian issue. But again, don't forget the orientation of Hamas. Hamas does not recognize the right of Israel to exist as a state and has pledged to destroy Israel. So you cannot negotiate with Hamas, and diplomacy doesn't work with Hamas. On the other hand, Israel is culpable in weakening the Palestinian Authority, which is headed by Abbas, which is the only negotiating authority on behalf of the Palestinians that is recognizable. Israel has weakened them. And I must tell you, only one government in the world can influence the outcome of the Middle East.
Who is that?
On the Palestinian question.
Whose government
and
is
that? That is the United States. United States is Israel's benefactor.
Can I hold you right there, sir? Because you have presented two cases, one on behalf of Israel and one on behalf of
the Palestinians.
The Palestinians. And I am a judge. That at the time I would have to run to Ronnie and say, Ronnie, you go judge that. When I sit on my chair and watch Palestinian babies and women and girls and men and soldiers being bombed and blown up, and watch Palestinians doing the same thing to Israel in the southern part where they are not fighting, how do you judge that? How do you give out something against one side and don't say anything against the other?
Well, that's what our government just did.
Eh?
That's what our government has done.
That's what he has just done.
Our government, as my understanding, I haven't read the full statement, and so I stand to be corrected. But we seem to have taken a stand that is almost completely pro-Israeli. Now, that in my view is justified as far as the initial attack is concerned, but it does not deal adequately with the deeper situation which Ambassador Ward has just outlined for our listeners. And therefore it needs, for me, a much more nuanced and a much deeper consideration. Ambassador, what do you say?
Randy, just before you answer that, this is not the first time.
No, but that doesn't comfort me. It makes it worse.
We have gone through the same murdering,
Sure,
deathing,
sure. So
killing, shooting
so therefore,
of one side, and then at some stage, somebody said,
bust out.
halt.
Yeah.
Hold what you get, and I hold what I have.
Well, but that doesn't happen. The Israelis continue to take over the West Bank. Ambassador Ward, why do you say the U.S. is the only country that can assist, and what would be the direction of that assistance?
Just before I answer that, there's something that Bernard said which is very important. We see slaughtered a few days ago. Now we are seeing Palestinian civilians being slaughtered. And there's no question about that. And what bothers me more than anything else at the moment is what will become of the hostages that Hamas has taken into Gaza. But let me try and answer your question directly. Israel cannot exist without the guaranteed support that the United States provides that country. And the thing is, the United States support is unconditional, regardless of what type of government controls Israel. Netanyahu, President Biden have not been on very good terms. Netanyahu was not on very good terms with President Obama. But at the end of the day, Israel's security is threatened. The United States almost unanimously, both sides of the political divide, come out backing Israel. That is not to say the underlying issue of the Palestinian question has been forgotten. But in the moment of the tragedy, the United States that stepped up. The United States supplies Israel. But Israel manufactures a lot of its own weapons, using American technology as well. Right now, although the U.S. Congress is so functioning, they will find a way to come together to provide support to Israel. And that support would mean paying for states to supply weapons to Israel. Look, when I served on the UN Security Council, we couldn't get a resolution through the Security Council that would ascribe equal blame to both sides on the Palestinian issue. Each time you try, the United States government would veto it, regardless of who is in the White House. They veto it. We were fortunate during the Intifada of 2000 to get a resolution through the Security Council actually blaming both sides for the violence. And it was under Bill Clinton, after days of fighting with the U.S. in New York, Security Council, they agreed to abstain rather than veto the resolution. And we were able to adopt it. And again, a lot of this was in part due to the power of, and I say power in parentheses, the power of the Jamaican diplomatic initiative that pushed that resolution in the Security Council.
No, that's
and
amazing.
It was one of my proudest moments.
Yes. Well.
Soon after that, Ronnie, Ambassador Holbrook, who was the ambassador to the U.S., went on the Charlie Rose show, and when asked about his experiences at the UN, he said his greatest regret was not vetoing that resolution.
Was not vetoing it.
Yeah.
Well,
that
no,
was his greatest regret.
But this increases our pedigree, Pernell, that we could have forwarded something that inures to peace. But then, so if you are correct, that, and I believe you are, that the United States has this pivotal role, what is likely to happen now? Because more and more people are deading.
But could I ask you, why are you asking that question? Did you hear what the Prime Minister of Israel said?
Yeah.
And what the Prime Minister of the United States said?
Yeah. We are together.
Hold on. He not only said we are together.
Yeah.
That's why I will say nobody
Yeah.
is going to be left in Gaza.
So
women,
yeah.
children,
Yeah.
age, men, you will never see Gaza again as far as he is concerned.
Yeah.
And the United States spoke after that.
Yeah. And said
And
we are with you.
Hold on. Not only send military.
Yeah.
Because you saw them landing
I
last
did.
night. Right?
Yeah.
I heard one day son, I didn't know where it come from. Somebody is saying, look, you guys hold it.
So
we are people and we have to live.
But then no. But then you see the Palestinians, Ambassador Ward, are not alone, because Iran is there. Saudi Arabia mash up now as far as any committee with Israel. There's a whole Arab world that I'd like you to discuss how they are likely to react. And
why you want to discuss that?
Because you know why? Because it's going to
because you don't know.
No,
you want to know if it's you alone. No,
I want to be for it to be explicit, coming from an expert, and also because it's going to affect some crucial things that we have to deal with, like the price of oil.
Listen.
Yes.
Let the ambassador
finish what you said.
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry to disturb you.
That's all right.
Over the years, countries of the Middle East have seen an erosion by the government support for the Palestinians. My understanding is that the people populating these countries, however, still strongly support the Palestinians. But countries like Saudi Arabia have other geopolitical interests, including with Israel and Iran. So it's really a mixed up situation. But the Palestinian issue will return to the front burner once the dust settles on Gaza. If there's anything left to negotiate, we have to be very careful what's going on. So far, the last numbers I have is that 22 Americans were killed by Hamas during the raid.
Yeah.
Were killed?
So far, Israeli bombings have killed over 12 United Nations humanitarian workers in Gaza.
Right.
And there are Americans that are held hostage. Right now we are seeing, coming out of the border of Israel with Lebanon, lots of unsettling going on with Hezbollah, which is also a cell of Iran, and far greater in strength than Hamas, start doing a little bit of agitation with a few rockets. Just a few. But they could rain thousands of rockets on Israel if they enter the fray. And so there are a lot of issues that have to be handled very delicately.
Yes, sir.
And the United States is in the middle of it.
But then, Ambassador Ward, the fact of the matter is that the Democratic Party, of which Joe Biden, the President of the United States, leads, is heavily beholden to the Jewish lobby in the United States. They have tremendous political and financial power. And this is over and beyond the certain morality of condemning what Hamas did. But what this does is another eruption of the long-standing Middle East crisis from 1948 coming up. But in the circumstances, this could look. Ukraine has fallen off the list of international concerns. I believe the Ukrainians is going to lose because the American money, American munitions are going to go to Israel as well as a softening of their the contretemps between the Republicans and the Democrats in the United States. We're looking at a period of world instability, and immediately the price of oil has gone up to what? Brent is up to $92 already today. That is going to have a knock-on effect in Jamaica in 2 months, sir.
Why do you go so far? In a mere yard.
Yes, sir.
Right, yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Jamaica is going to be under serious pressure.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand. They think it's Israel and Palestine fighting.
No, the world.
It is an international situation. When it gets to negotiation, that is where you're going to see what the problem is. Because you said that the U.S. is under Jewish pressure, but a lot of the people in America are Jewish.
Yes.
So you don't expect that they would be...
I'm describing it.
No,
But
the population of Jews in America is not as large as their influence.
No.
But we must recognize, for instance, that the Senate leader, Democratic leader of the Senate, is a Jew.
Senator Schumer.
And there are many Jews. And there are many Jews in the legislature, both in the House and in the Senate.
Of
There are
course.
Jews in the Biden administration, but and their numbers in the population does not support the level of their influence. The level of their influence greatly outpaces their numbers. But you have to give them credit for that. And Israel, many of the Jews also have citizenship in Israel.
Yes.
And Israel recognized them.
Yes.
And the Jewish diaspora,
Yeah.
a great part in political decisions in America.
So, Ambassador, you helped us to understand the dynamics that are there. Give us a short break, please. And when we come back, what should Jamaica's response be in the midst of that unsettled circumstance? And and I've noticed a difference between the reaction of the Jamaican government and the reaction of CARICOM. And I wonder if that is material. Ambassador Curtis Ward, our guest today, soon come, international section of the Public Eye. Thanks for being with us on the Public Eye. The station is a Bridge 99 FM. Pernell Charles and myself talking with Ambassador Curtis Ward, retired Jamaican diplomat in the United States, about the Palestine-Israeli war that's going on now. Ambassador, before you comment on Jamaica's position and CARICOM's, Pernell just said in the break that the Chinese must be what would be their posture now? Just to sit back and watch this theater play out?
My great-grandmother called this murderation.
Murderation.
Taking place.
What are they saying? What are they saying?
I don't expect them to get involved in this.
Yeah.
They generally sit on the sideline.
Mm-hmm.
And be very quiet. That's how they operate. But let us look at what we have.
There's one little thing other than that.
Hamas.
There's another little thing, sir. The Chinese is strengthened by what's it one that wants to separate from them? In other words, they are saying
By Taiwan?
Taiwan, don't try it. You see what's going on? At Russia against that? America against this?
Boy, that's a stretch. But yeah,
Stretch
I'm,
what?
I'm following you. So what next? And what we are small fries.
Okay. Here is a question about the statement by the Jamaican government. If I was advising the Jamaican government, which I'm not privileged to do, I would have said, statement should reflect certain things. One, you should condemn attack by Hamas, which took the lives of over 1,000 civilians wantonly and targeting civilian population. You should recognize the right of Israel to respond, to protect its people from Hamas. At the same time, you should implore Israel to do so. Responsible state to abide by international rules of law, to protect the human rights and the humanitarian rights of the citizens of Gaza, and to do everything in their powers to avoid killing civilian population. And you should end that. You should end that by calling for of hostilities and negotiations and return to resolving the Palestinian issue. And sure, you can call for a two-state solution, etc. But your statement is incomplete if you only condemn Hamas and leave it at that.
Well, Mr. Ward, as a trade unionist, you see, sir, whenever there's a dispute between the management and the workers strike, one thing I've always insisted on, there has to be some sort of normalcy before you can have discussion. And I would have said, you're wrong, employer where you don't want to give, employee who burn down the place, you're wrong, but guess what? Let's get around the bargaining table. Because you are not going to, in your lifetime, see what happened to Hamas. Straight note, with all of those hundreds of people who have been killed, American people have been killed.
The situation
all around the world.
The situation has been made exponentially worse. But Ambassador Ward, the outline of what you might have suggested is much closer to the statement I heard emerging from CARICOM yesterday.
Well, I saw CARICOM statement, but never had a chance to read it.
Yes.
I should hope
that
CARICOM would have spoken to those issues.
Yes.
But it's important. We must remember the responsibility of Israel is a different level of as a sovereign state.
Yes.
Is a different level of responsibility than that of Hamas, a non-state actor,
yes,
which has been designated by many countries
yes,
as a terrorist group.
Yes.
So Hamas will act as a terrorist group, but a state in response must not act as a terrorist group.
So what?
How would they defend themselves, so? I mean, if you bring terror to me, I can't talk to you. Unless there's a withdrawal or a settle down, you're not going to have each of us bombing each other.
I'm not talking about dialogue here. Israel has the right, the UN Charter, but militarily, to reduce current and future threat. Israel.
Yeah, but they say
what Israel does not have the right to do is to do so in the same mode of operation as the terrorist group operates. Israel is a sovereign state bound by the rules of international engagement, the rules of war, human rights and humanitarian rules, and therefore should not engage in terrorism, revenge in Israel.
When you look at the effect of all of this on international trade, how do you see it playing out? And I'm really going to press you on what effect, if any, you see this having on the commitments made and needed for the war in Ukraine. Can the two fronts be resolved in parallel, or are they entirely different, and with what effect, with what consequences?
Okay. You mentioned earlier the price of oil going up, for instance.
Yes.
And, Saudi Arabia reduced its oil production as part of an agreement with Russia,
yes,
and so on. The question is, they react to whatever Israel does and whatever support the United States gives to Israel, as they did in 1973. We had the oil boycott.
yes,
I personally don't believe they'll go that far, but they will issue some signals and maybe do some further cuts, show their disagreement and their power over energy supplies. Iran is another major oil supplier, which, even though there are sanctions, are able to sell oil to India, China, and Russia.
yes.
So on. Now, you are juxtaposing what is happening in Israel, Palestine, with Russia, Ukraine. And there is a concern. Because you mentioned earlier, Ronnie, that attention is being drawn away from Ukraine.
Yes.
Funds may also be drawn away from Ukraine to go to Israel.
Mm-hmm.
But to the credit of the Biden administration, there is some word that they will tie aid to Ukraine, aid, in order to get it through the Republican-controlled House.
Well, what is the reaction of the Republicans to the Palestinian Israeli war, Ambassador Ward?
Individually, they come out on the side of Israel. Collectively, I don't know who speaks for them collectively these days. They don't have a Speaker of the House. So we can't say for sure.
I'm surprised,
but don't
Ambassador.
forget how the Republican Congress favored Netanyahu and this Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Trump
is going to favor.
In general, Republicans strongly support Israel.
Well, that's good to know. But if Trump is critical of this, he's going to speak for the Republican Party, whichever way he chooses. And I'm just seeing the turmoil within American politics adding to, rather than detracting from, the turmoil in the war fronts, both in the Middle East and in Eastern Europe.
I'm seeing it a little different, Ronnie.
Tell me.
As a political science student, I see Wall Street and Congress influencing America, whether it's Republican or Democrat.
Okay.
As far as the Jews and the control of the economy of the America is controlled. And those who America have influence over, whether it is Canada, Jamaica, Britain, they are going to be influenced by Wall Street and Congress.
Which is why I think our government made the statement it did, because it's consistent with frankly a reactive posture to whatever the United States asks of it. From the day Trump...
sorry, but this whole control Wall Street, they used to say that about the press also. It's not what it has been made out to be.
Okay.
Because the companies that trade on Wall Street are shareholder companies. And the Jews certainly do not make up the majority of shareholders of these Fortune 500 companies. There are some financial institutions which the Jews do have heavy influence in over the years. But even that influence has been dissipating with broader ownership within the financial sector. So I think that the control that the Jews have is that they have a very loud voice. They have strong congressional lobby. They have congressional representatives in high positions. And anyone that dares to speak ill of the Jews are immediately castigated as anti-Semitic.
Ambassador Ward,
many politicians fear that.
Well, indeed. We have to leave it there. You've always been helpful in clarifying these issues. It's worrying even for us here in Kingston. Please keep us up to date with your blog. We look forward to talking with you again. Ambassador Curtis Ward, retired diplomat in the United States, Jamaican diplomat, obviously, following international events for us on the public eye. This is the Bridge 99. When we come back, we look at some local issues. Colonel Charles and myself look forward to your company. Thanks for being with us on the public eye. This is the Bridge 99 FM, that special station that broadcasts particularly to the Jamaican diaspora, wherever we are, anywhere in the world. That's what we want to let you know, our Jamaican perspective on matters international, as well as on the affairs of the day. Honorable Colonel Charles is a co-host. We just had a good discussion with Ambassador Curtis Ward, talking about the Israeli-Palestinian war and its impact, its effects likely upon us in Jamaica, the consequences of international dislocation. Now we turn to the local scenes.
Before you turn, you left out two lines.
What?
That we wish
Of
that
course.
both parties will put down
Come
arms
to the bargaining table.
and
Yes.
come, because finally
It has to be.
one has to be wiped out
Yeah.
temporarily, because remember, you can't wipe out human. Or both have to agree, say, look here, you were wrong, you say you were wrong, I say I was right. You
Some
say,
detente.
and let us sit.
Yeah. And that's
And
what...
that is where the UN and these big guys should come and sit down and say,
And that
look,
is what Jamaica should have said rather than what we did. Ralston Hyman, greetings.
Greetings, Ronnie. Greetings, Sir P.
well, you know that Ranny didn't tell me is you coming. No, him hide it from me.
I don't have to hide anything from you. Ralston Hammond, looking at some local affairs, as we always ask your comment on. Yesterday, I felt ashamed as a Jamaican to hear the International Monetary Fund downgrade Jamaica's projections for economic growth. And when the narrative was furthered, looking into the future, the next 3, 4, 5 years, is under 3% growth we're looking at annually. What hope does that give to the ordinary Jamaican person?
Well, government's own forecast is for an average annual growth rate of 1% for the next 5 years. So even the IMF is more optimistic about the Jamaican economy than the government of Jamaica. So the IMF forecast is higher than that of the government of Jamaica. And the government of Jamaica's forecast gives very little hope to the people who are at the bottom over the next 5 years.
So on what basis, if I'm there to do a job of a particular work, and I can't do that work by my own predictions, as well as fortified by other people's outside opinion, on what basis do I recommend myself?
Well, that's a very good question. Very good
so
question.
it's a question of what combined IMF and the government's own projections for economic growth. This is growth of gross domestic product. What is the hope? On this program, Ralston Hyman, Colonel Charles, and myself must speak the truth to the Jamaicans who are listening here or abroad, and say your material circumstances are unlikely to grow in any measurable fashion, given inflation. our corner is dark, Rastan.
Yeah, man, over the next 5 years, that is why the people on the street, they have the saying that they say, no better than that, I would just drink some rum and boom and smoke some weed because we not see no better come over the long term, and the opposition is not articulating anything different either.
Well, let me
Because people just say, oh, no better than that, we just go and drink rum and boom and live.
yes,
Who for scam, and who for do this, just do this.
yeah, but I am not as well. I'm less optimistic, but I'm not as bad as you. We're going to survive.
Yeah, we always survive, but
Hold
life
on.
is not just about survival. We always survive.
Our situation is not national; it's international.
Mm-hmm.
The IMF didn't look at Jamaica alone.
No, I'm not, but I'm telling you that the government's own forecast, long before the IMF said this, was worse than the IMF's forecast. We're looking at the budget numbers projected by the great Nigel Clark, and it says 1% per annum economic growth over the medium term, which is the next 5 years.
And what does the IMF say?
The IMF is saying that we're going to do 2%. So the IMF is even more optimistic than the government of Jamaica.
Yeah, that's
the
what
point
I'm saying.
making.
I think Ronnie needs it the other way around.
No, I can't, because if you're running an inflation rate of, even in the government's own best projection, the Bank of Jamaica, 4 to 6%, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And we're running at 8 thereabouts.
Well, we're 6.8 now.
Fine. We are getting poorer every year. Is that what we live in Jamaica for? Mm-hmm. Is that what 1 million Jamaicans and more have to if I'm considering starting a family here, if I'm considering what I do with my children, if I'm a young person viewing my life in Jamaica with these statistics, yes, self-generated and externally verified or modified, but of the same timber, what I must do? I'm feeling.
That's why people are running away.
Oh God, man!
You feel like when what?
That's why people are running away.
No, but running to where it is better.
No, but for them.
No. Running to where? Stand your ground and fight, or run going in a war. Which one? Where is it
Well,
better?
they're
in
saying
fact,
that no
you
war.
have just said that the IMF is projecting that it will be better for us than we are projected for ourselves.
That's correct.
So where the hell are we going to run go?
They're going to
Where-
run go
where
to
it is not
America.
as- where it
They're
is not
going
as
to
good?
run go. They're going to run go to America where they think it's easier to survive. That's what they do. They're not going to Israel. They're not going to the West Bank. They're going to America.
And America is only psychologically better.
No, you can't. But
Well, the people feel that materially life is easier in America. It's easier to buy a car. It's easier to buy a house.
Of course.
And then in Jamaica, it's easier to stay alive rather than get murdered in America than in Jamaica. That's it.
I don't want.
And it has been.
I don't want to enter into that argument.
No, but it has been like that from you and I were boys.
Yeah, but that's no comfort. It shouldn't be.
Yeah, and that is why the people are saying this is happening for too long, so we can't take it anymore.
You live in order to make progress.
Yes.
No, I mean, but I'm asking, why are we setting such a low horizon, and others setting such a low horizon from us? We can do better.
Mr. Clark said to tell you that because he wants to speak the truth.
No, but it's true. It's true. His truth is inadequate. His truth is inadequate. It is like a parent telling a child, an impoverished parent, telling the child, I'm so sorry, I can't feed you for the next 2 days. That's not good enough. You can't be a parent and do that. If even you have teeth or you have to beg. No, listen, no, but what we're talking about is the crisis of the Jamaican psyche right now, you know. Mm-hmm. And it you hear the almost a panic in my voice.
When it's really that bad?
But what is it?
No.
That's why we bring Ralston here, Pernell.
I want to ask him because you have been put in a position to be taught by this man, right? Be assisted to learn by him. Let us talk. What will concern the average Jamaican man over the next few years?
First thing is
I said more houses are being built, more cars are around. That means more people are working, right?
Let me answer it one by one.
The what?
So let me start with the first one.
Yes.
The first one to the Jamaican man is whether I can make it 24 hours without being killed. That's the first one. The second one is whether he can live for 24 hours without being killed and feeding himself. The third one is whether he can find somewhere that is affordable to live. No matter how many houses you are seeing building, no houses are being built for those at the lower end of the market. The fourth one is whether the salary that he gets from his work can provide for him and his family after he gets paid on a Friday. Those are the main concerns of the Jamaican people at this particular point in time. Staying alive, feeding themselves, finding somewhere to live, sending their children to school and feeding them.
And those three things that you put forward, which are necessary for survival, you said they will go to it with a feeling that they may be killed.
Well, the first thing is whether I can stay alive. With the amount of people being killed randomly on a daily basis, that's the first thing the Jamaican people are saying. Am I going to be alive after the end of today? And if I'm alive after the end of today, can I feed myself or my family? If I'm working, can the wages that I'm getting or the salaries I'm getting can help me to feed my family after the weekend? Because most people are broke after they get paid on a Friday.
Well, Ronnie,
No, we have to.
you have to come in here now to help me, because guess what? You have to come in here to help me.
What I'm saying, what I'm pointing out to you, let me help you.
Yes.
Help ourselves.
Yes.
I'm talking about the bankruptcy of an economic plan and a plan of political economy that can in fact relieve the increasingly desperate position of the majority of our people. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm agreeing with Ratzenheimer. The government has run out of steam. This government has run out of steam in terms of coming forward with that, and the opposition has a few good ideas, but not nearly tight enough to inspire people to think that, boy, if I just hold on, one day I'll be able to see the benefits that are there. Yes.
That's the other side of the coin, because the people are saying, although the government has run out of steam, the opposition already, because they're not united and all of those things. So no better than this. So either I'm a runway or I'm stay up on the corner and drink rum and boom and bun and split. And no better than there, I make the time pass.
And any politician who can give me more money.
Mr. Hammond, what we said a while ago from we started was for a certain level of our society, our people.
The majority.
Now, we are not going to die for hunger. We are still, in my opinion, better off today than we were 10 years ago.
What is the point of saying that?
No. Because I am trying to say we are heading for the fire. That's what you say.
But how does that put one more green banana in my plate? How does that reflection that I am better than I was than things were 10 years ago? How does that increase my calories?
But things are not better than 10 years ago, because in 1972 per capita GDP was almost $6,000. Now it is $5,183.36.
Boy.
That was 1972?
1972.
So, and that came out of 1980s, 5-6 development.
Whatever it came out of. Whatever.
No. You're looking at me and you're looking at the politics, and I'm not talking.
No, I'm not.
No, we're talking about the economics. We're talking about
the economics. Yes.
The value of what we are producing now per man is less than we were producing in 1972.
Those who are making the production may be the wrong people or the investors. Because
but who is controlling them? Who is guiding them? What we have is a free market system where people can take advantage of the others. And when we say to the government, please help us not to make it happen, the government says, long out their tongue at us and say, nah, we're not doing it for them time. That is the story of Fitzjackson and the bank fees Purnell. And it is this is what I find that reprehensible. The government says, please, corruption is yamming out our soul and our pocket, okay? And we have all of the excellent statements by the Prime Minister about ensuring that corruption does not prevail and is prevented. And then when it comes to his own business as the leader of the country, he can't be certified, not for 1, but for 2 years?
That's madness.
I mean,
Well,
why does he want to?
when-
Why is he so undermining himself and not making a political point? You know, I want my
No,
prime
but
minister to
it
look
is a
good.
political. You're looking at me
No,
and
close my
calling
eyes.
me the prime minister
No,
and
close
asking me, but you did that. No, but
but hold on.
And
Hold
I'm
on,
not,
sir,
I am
please.
not,
That's not-
You should have been.
I'm not objecting to you looking at me
No.
and throwing it at me. I'm
No,
simply
but Sir P,
saying,
that's not only a political point. That's also an economic point. That's also
Exactly.
a point of accountability.
Exactly. And-
That's also a point of investor confidence. The Prime Minister cannot find himself in a situation where his declaration cannot be certified for 2 years. No CEO of any company could survive in the company if he conducts himself that way.
no,
So hold on,
unless when he comes out, it was because it was so bad.
No, we can't speculate. But look what
Why
happened.
are you
Look,
speculating that it's so good that him can't say?
because it has. I'm not. I'm saying.
If it is so bad, him can't talk.
I'm
Can't be prime minister. And can't eat.
I don't want. I have no interest in whether he's a rich man or he's not. What I want him to do is to do what he said was paramount. What he said we all should do, and particularly him, is to follow the law. The
Yeah,
law
man.
which he helped enact and which he set as a standard for the rest of us. And
Yeah,
I
man,
make
there's no excuse for that. It is indefensible.
and I make
We're
a
not begging
comparison.
him. That is something that he, as part of the accountability mechanism, he shouldn't make that become a problem if he wants to restore confidence.
When the youth who is being lured towards using his tremendous IT talent towards scamming considers his mind, yes, and
I
says,
told you what he said to
what
me.
is the standard?
He said that this is his book, the cell phone. He said, this is my degree.
Yeah, well,
So
there
what
you
do you
are.
mean by that? Him say, I just have to dial it.
Yes.
I don't have to
And
go
he
to school.
So why would he not, when he feels that somebody at the head of the government can't fulfill his requirement? Why?
Well, they also say that the people who are running the government and running the banking system are official scammers. So nothing is wrong with scamming. You know that they are official. They are backed by the law.
When I really can't fault them, you know.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
I really can't fault them for that, because that's it. The system, in my view, is the whole apparatus of neocolonialism, Ralston Hammond,
Yeah, man.
is a scamming thing.
Yeah, man.
Yes,
Yeah,
you can
man.
cuss me all you want, but that's what
Yeah,
the
man.
bauxite industry
And
continues to do.
The youth have not realized that, and that is why they do what they do.
And why should they vote for somebody? If you have a money, give me maybe drink some more rum and boom.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we take
Yep.
it. But I'm no business with you. You
Yep.
can't do nothing for me. And therefore,
Yeah,
the
man.
entire fabric, the democracy project of
Falling
62
apart.
is falling
Falling
apart.
apart. Yeah,
Yes,
man.
because those who are in charge of it cannot themselves ensure its stability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
man.
before you let off, Ivan, today I would like you to deal with something that I understand all MPs are going to have to do.
What's that?
You heard what I talk about?
No. What was that?
That they have to say there's a plan what an MP must do.
Oh, you mean the job description?
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
No, well, let me just, before you comment.
Yes,
let me
you
say-
tell me, because you have longer experience.
My job description was between me and my constituency.
Uh-huh.
Not me and you.
Uh-huh.
Because my job description out of country is different from
Yes.
your job description down here.
Yes.
So you'd have to give the 63 people
No, but
63
are there some general
different
general requirements from all of us?
Yes. Between me
Uh-huh.
and my constituency, and if I don't perform, I have 4 years
No, I don't.
and I'm gone.
I don't accept
thrown
that.
out.
There are some. What you're correct in saying is that there are some peculiarities that have to do with each situation, each constituency.
Yes.
But there are some basic functions that it is perfectly appropriate for us to say these.
Tell me two of those functions.
Going to Parliament regularly, participating rather than sitting down and banging the desk, participating in lawmaking, and representing the interests of your constituents there. Those are two things. Rastan, what you say?
Right, no,
And I'm saying to you that the Prime Minister's credibility is also damaged in that regard, because he told us that would have gotten those in the first 100 days, and we have seen now 2,555 days have passed and we haven't seen any job descriptions.
But if what Ronnie say is the job description,
No, that's only that's
you know
only a
that
part of it.
you know that I can stand here and ask you as a historian, both of you, to go and check. I was a senator for 5 years, and I have never missed a session.
excellent to your
That's
benefit.
That's good.
To your credit.
Yes.
To your credit.
And if you go through my whole parliamentary, I have been at the top of the line
For attendance.
attendance
No, but
and
the-
participation.
Sure, but then whatever, all of us must be like you.
No, but
Right.
no, but if that's what you're talking about,
That's one part of it.
if that's what you're talking about, are you going to tell me?
But Sir P, so the Prime
But like-
Minister must then explain to the nation what did he mean when he said that you would have given them job description within the first 100 days, and why after 2,555 days we can't see any job description? He would have considered all of that as a great Prime Minister before he made a statement. Or he's conning the people. That is why the youth them say the system is a con system and it's just scamming. So that
Yeah,
was an
but-
election scam.
But do I expect the Prime Minister to tell me that I have to come to Parliament?
He said he
No.
would. No.
Do I expect him to tell me that
No.
when I'm
No,
assigned a
but
job
Sir,
that I
I
have to
try
do
to
it?
get around the fundamental point that he said that you'd have a job description which would include coming to Parliament and performing. That
Oh, so-
wouldn't be the
so
entire
he'll-
job
he'll
description,
have a-
but that would have been a part of the description.
You'd have a police force that is prepared to follow me to know what I'm
No,
doing.
no. What,
No,
you're,
sir,
what you're doing is reducing
Yeah, man.
the thing to the absurd, and it's not
Yeah,
that.
man.
It's
Yeah,
some.
man.
What we're trying to do is to meet the reasonable aspiration of the Jamaicans who feel that the art of the art and the enterprise of representation know what that it doesn't have any bearing on their lives except to cost them money, and that they don't get anything out of it. And we have to build back that confidence. Otherwise, there is no law, there is no preventive detention, there is nothing that is going to stop the social disintegration of the people.
Precisely.
I'm glad that you.
And that is why the people are now saying you have to pay me for vote.
I'm
No, it's true.
I'm glad
Of
you bring
course.
that up because I've never seen that side of it. I thought that when you're going to tell me what I am expected to do at my constituency, and I know that that is between me and the people, and if I don't perform, I won't come back. And if I perform well, I'll be there like I'm there for 7 years. Because I stand up with them, I work with them, and I give an evidence and assignment as best as I can for church, for school.
Yeah, well, Pernell, we're talking about a systemic thing. I mean, but we acknowledge your fidelity to good representation. But the fact is that it's first of all, it's not only what we as representatives think that we are doing. It is what the people expect of us. And the point I want Ralston Hammond to comment on is the Member of Parliament, in fact, it represents the social security system such as it is of Jamaica. And I am asking, is it that we cannot afford a reasonable social security system which would remove the Member of Parliament from being some kind of boops in the whole society?
But
Yeah,
that's,
man,
that's what the politics is about.
But the politics is wrong. Look where it's taking us. You can't just say that and leave it.
But Ronnie, I don't understand you. You were sitting in your office. When a lady came in there with a baby, nose not running down her said, and you're going to tell me that you can turn her out?
No, I can't turn her
Hold
out.
on.
Where I want
when
to do
she
is
come telling you
What
that
I-
the children don't eat from morning.
yes, you have to give her. But then
Hold on, that's good for
But
that
why?
they don't have no shoes to go to school.
why?
Yeah, but
That they don't have no
Why?
uniform to go to school.
Why?
That they don't have no
Sir,
books to go
Why,
to school.
why don't they? And where can I send them to? Rather than putting my hand in my pocket, yes, which is what one had to do. What I want is a system where there is an agency, there is a relief for people in that situation, which does not center around the Member of Parliament.
At what age do you plan to go back to Parliament?
I don't understand you.
Well, what you are saying
Yeah.
here.
So I'm asking Ralston, is it that we can't afford this?
We can afford it, and it's that we are not paying any attention. We are stuck in the same old-time politics that Sir P is talking about, where the MP is seen as the boops, and I vote for you if you allow me to boops you out. We want a system where our people are educated and productive. We have more than the 20% of the population that is in any authorized retirement scheme, right? So that our people are secured. We expect the Ministry of Finance to pay more attention to those things than what they are doing now. But there's the whole time politics where the MP is seen as boobs. That's what they want to perpetuate.
Just give him more money to do that.
Yes, yes.
And it still can
I
never be
take
enough.
strong objection to you and not calling me boobs.
That's what the people call it.
No,
Because you call me boobs and a lady does ball out and say, Mr. Charles, you was my savior. No, boobs.
We can. That's wonderful.
We don't
You
want that
help
anymore.
me.
She got.
You send me picnic, go to school, you give me food, and you
But
get me
do
house.
you really
We
think
don't
that
want
is what
Jesus
you're
to be the
elected to
only
do?
savior. We don't want it to be the savior. We want Jesus to be the savior.
Yeah. Got you. Russ and Hyman, help me though, as time runs off on us. The IMF is saying that our growth forecasts are downgraded, but at the same time, the World Bank is improving our rating. How did the two?
There's a timing difference. The World Bank gave its rating before the Gaza-Hamas conflict. So the IMF came in yesterday after the conflict, and they factored the probable impact of the conflict on the global economy and the Jamaican economy in their calculation.
What is that impact likely to be? We were discussing that with Ambassador Ward earlier, but he was not in a position to say what likely effect it would have on us in Jamaica. Can you?
Well, what the IMF said is that it would shave a full percentage points from global economic growth. So rather than doing 3% this year, the global economy will do 2.9. And then when they associate that with a higher interest rate regime for longer, that is going to be pursued by international central banks, it will lead to a shaving of Jamaica's forecast, given the closeness of the Jamaican economy to the American economy. And we got further evidence of that this morning because the producer inflation in America came out higher than was expected. So we expect to see interest rates going higher than expected. And our central bank governor Richard Biles said last week that although they held the rates, we are going to see more rate hikes by the end of this year. This is going to slow down business activity. This is going to slow down employment, and this is going to slow down economic growth.
What could we do then that would increase by our own activity and our own judicious negotiation where that's necessary with factors abroad? How can we improve our situation and move from 1% to and not 2%, but move to something respectable? Why has that dream of 5 in 4, Mr. Leachin and Mr. Clark?
No, but don't.
Why on earth have we scuttled
I'm
that?
publicly disrupting you because you asked a question for me and you. And no, I'm seriously.
All right, I'm happy.
You have asked a question for me, but you're going to add on a Mr. Leachin. That's not on my team. Okay.
Mr. Leachin is on the team. He's chairman of the Growth Council. Mr. Leachin is a major shareholder of the largest bank in Jamaica that is leading virtually the financial direction of the country. I mean nothing bad by this, but he has a direct line to Minister Nigel Clark.
Yeah, man, it's a factual statement. It's not pejorative. It's a factual statement. Yeah.
No, seriously, he has more power than
all the ministers put
all
together,
of the 63 representatives.
Because he has more money.
Well, so if I have
money in Jamaica is power.
Okay, sir.
So it's not him one has money.
So the majority of people in Jamaica when don't have money, them not to live.
They have a different type of power.
So no.
The first thing Mr. Hyman said they came in, it's a murder thing, They have a power that
But we don't want that power, Daddy.
We don't want that power.
No, but they're using that power.
What we want is an equitable distribution
Precisely,
and participation
of
the financial power, of the spiritual power, of the educational and social power that is going to lift all of us so that we can stop having.
He
just read that from the line that we have before us on my behalf.
You go ahead now, Rastan.
So here are some of the things that we could do. For example, the central bank governor says that he's not happy with how the banks are operating, but he doesn't have the laws to rein them in. So what Minister Clark could go is go to the parliament and bring some new laws to give the central bank governor the power that he says he wants to rein in the banks, particularly in this environment of higher global interest rates they are going to grow higher than even the global level if we don't get some laws to rein them in. So that's one of the first things that we could do. Additionally, when we look at what is happening, one of the greatest drivers of inflation globally is the price of crude. So it means that we need to develop a proper renewable energy policy. We're seeing Minister Clark moving in that direction now, where he now says that the companies that invest in renewable energy, their taxes will be reduced. That's a good move. So we only don't criticize him, we praise him when he does the right thing. So we want to see more energy in the renewable energy sector. What we need to do is to see more energy in the agricultural sector. So we need to see lower credit flow into the agricultural sector. We need to see the titles office talking about 8,000 titles. We need more
80,000.
Accelerated land. 8,000 they have done.
I know, and I'm saying it should be 80.
Precisely.
Give people the wherewithal to do something with their property, to get capital, to develop, to earn money, to feed themselves.
Precisely. Those are some of the things. We need to see more of the NHT money, building houses in the inner city, downtown Kingston, all those things where people can afford 8 million, 5 million.
Rather than the one house for people that is everyone is publicized, and we're to believe that this represents a major commitment to working class housing. It does not.
Precisely. Rather than the houses that Sir P talking about that are being built for 35 million and 28 million and 48 billion. Those are the houses that are being built the fastest.
Well, you know.
Yeah, but they're leaving those from downtown to me and you and gone up.
Well, but this is it, and it can't work. So what I understand you saying, Ralston, is that we have the resources if we had the right policies.
Precisely.
If we had the right leadership, we have the resources to do much better than we are doing.
Much better than we are doing. That's correct. That's the point I'm making.
Mr. Harmon.
Yes, sir.
You know.
Going to the cars now, Sir P. We need to ensure that the loans for cars become the most expensive loans rather than the cheapest loan. You know that in Singapore, apart from the price of the car, you have to pay to own a car because they say too many cars are on the road. In Jamaica, the car loan is the cheapest loan, while the business loan should be the cheapest loan. So we need to reverse that.
Allow me a minute. I went to a forum this morning with the Minister of Education and the Vice Chancellor of the University and our esteemed colleague Ralston Hammond, Professor Denzel Williams, on proposals for funding tertiary education. Yes. And I tell me if I'm mistaken. I said that it is a reproach that you can get a loan to go to Dream Weekend quicker than you can get a loan to pay for a term at the university.
Precisely. So you see the upside down nature of our planning.
But we do nothing about this.
No.
What we do is provide money and deny money in circumstances that do not inure to production, to the food security that my colleague here advances so cogently. We are the architects of our own misfortune. Why?
Because of the nonsense religion of allowing the market to determine everything, which comes back to what Sir P said. Those who have money determine what takes place.
And not only that, those who don't have money, it creates a gap between those who have and those who don't have. That if you can't get it, that's where the gangster is.
Well, yeah, but then
precisely. That's how the criminality comes in.
So we develop another industry called security industry.
Precisely.
We put all of our money in much of our money into developing the armed forces of this country.
Precisely.
Yes, which can never the national security ideology that is being put forward in Jamaica can never solve our problems.
And I want to add something.
That is why we say that we totally and fully endorse what Israel is doing and supporting Israel, because the same kind of policy.
Well, I want to say, Ronnie, as far as I am concerned,
the
good thing that you and Mr. Hyman has just said, the present policy, not PNP and JP alone, the policy is not taking us that direction.
But this is it. So
one is fighting, one is grabbing with the left hand, one is grabbing with the right hand. And there's no way you can get us together on a policy that will work because the politics of getting in power comes in.
Agreed.
You have that problem.
Yeah, but then,
Yeah,
but frankly, what is it? What is the point of having having power when you can't do anything with it?
Precisely.
All you
Danny,
can do is follow a line and hope you get a little breakthrough.
You know, I was going to something a while ago about you.
What?
You're a nice guy. No, seriously.
Well, I return the compliment and I thank you for giving it.
No,
but where does that take you?
No, it takes me.
Uh-huh.
It's frightening me like hell because guess
Of
what?
course, it is frightening.
It's frightening.
It is frightening.
Because you're not, and I know you live here, and I know your environment in which you live, home and constituents otherwise. And somebody remind me that you wasn't a very good parliamentarian to the end, you know. In other words, you don't stay, you as foolishness start, you pick up your book and you go to your office, right? Rather than stay there to help guide the rest of us.
You wouldn't let me. No, but you know, I'm anxious just to advance this point before.
Before you respond,
Yeah.
Mr. Herman, I
Yes, sir.
really would like to say the last thing to you and Ronnie. What can we, the three of us, say here that the majority of people in Jamaica would be in full agreement that the present government, PNP, JLP, PNP, those who are fighting for the authority, the political authority, what can they do together? Or what can be done the way we are apart? You understand the point I'm making? Huh? Ronnie?
So what we
You-
need to do is to develop a common macroeconomic policy that is not driven just by the IMF and the World Bank, that is in sync with what the people of Jamaica want. So we'll be investing in renewable energy, we'll be investing in agriculture, we'll be making the education and the agricultural and business loans cheaper than the car loans. Car imports up by 55% since the year starts. Yeah? We need to have a national security policy that focus on the socio-economics of the situation rather than boots on the ground. Those are some of the things that we need to have a common agreement about. We need to have a common agreement that the behavior of the members of the financial sector is counterproductive and we need legislation to rein them in. Those are some things that we must agree on.
Can you imagine?
Can you stop the people from giving loans, Ronnie, at the price they're giving?
No, you
No.
can, no.
But you can put
There
in
are
regulation.
more loan givers now than ever in the history of Jamaica.
And
Yeah, but
And
the
they are,
loans flow-
and they are takers.
for what
Yes.
purposes?
Huh?
For what purposes and at what rates?
Yep.
I mean, people don't have any choices, or sometimes they feel that their choices do not connect with national development at all.
Precisely.
I continue to. We're speaking to many people in the diaspora. It is a reproach that it is easier to get financing for entertainment weekend for
Yes.
a piece of Japanese semi junk. Yes,
Yep.
which is going to cost foreign exchange. And yet you have students, capable students with huge potential, either foregoing or dropping out of university because they can't pay their way.
And you are telling me that you have a government
Yeah.
that can change that.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Give me an idea.
Absolutely.
Let's throw it at them now.
Sure.
Come.
Sure. My view is that they have.
Yes. Oh, let me ask a question. I am a student, right? And my friend over there just got a car loan from a man and I'm getting a new car.
Yeah.
But I go to the man and I tell him I want to go to school, I have an education, but I'm not getting it.
No.
And what can the present or future government under
The
this
present or
situation?
future government can say what they are doing in Guyana right now. If you are going into agriculture, the banks that lend to agriculture, they have a lower tax rate than the banks that lend for those kinds of things that are not developmental. That's happening in Guyana right now as we speak, so there's no difficulty. We want our Minister of Finance to remember that is the people of Jamaica voted for him and not the banking sector. So he's not the president of the Jamaica Bankers Association. He's the finance minister of all Jamaica. The governor says he wants legislation that if I want to move from Bank A to Bank B, there's no detective story. Right now, it's a detective story.
Professor Denzel Williams, the principal of the Mona campus, put forward today a very interesting plan for the financing of university education, which will involve the financial sector carrying certain risks, which will involve long-term securities like the pension funds can offer, and the eventual repayment with interest of the loans from the earnings of those who are the beneficiaries.
Of course.
But if it is so easy the way you say, if it's so easy, why don't we just do it and stay in power?
Because you and I are not. Well, I wonder why the government doesn't pick up on something like this. Let me be clear that Minister Williams listened very attentively, but the amount of loops and hoops and persuading that she's going to have to do, and the resistance that is going to be coming
and all of that is in Gordon House.
From the entrenched powers.
That is in Gordon House.
If not in Gordon House, it's in the cabinet room at Jamaica House.
Okay.
Yes, and or in the Ministry of Finance on Hero Circle.
Yes, because Hero Circle, the Ministry of Finance is locked into the neoliberal web.
Yes, that which can't take the Jamaican people where they want, and therefore you have all you can do is afford 2 more security guards surrounding you.
Yeah, man.
Why the hell is that? I mean,
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. We can do so much better. To say that we are better than some of our neighbors, thank God for that.
Not good enough.
But that's not where we want to go.
Because we're worse off than many of our neighbors. Like the people in Barbados, the people in Ghana, the people in Trinidad and Tobago. Bahamas have a per capita GDP of almost 6 times Jamaica. So we're not better off than most of our neighbors. Right now, we're better off than the people in Haiti. That's the only people in the Caribbean that we are basically better off than at this time.
So let's turn then quickly to what should the opposition be doing that it is not doing?
First, they need to get themselves united because there's no unity taking place at this particular point in time.
Really?
And they need to get a functional shadow cabinet so that people can know who is the team. Right now, nobody knows who is the team because there's no unity. And then they need to articulate a set of policies that they'll pursue and commit themselves to. Those are 1, 2, 3 that they need to do urgently. First thing is uniting, have a functional shadow cabinet, and then articulate policies that will help the people. Yeah.
I believe that the policies are primary. I'm accepting your trio.
But without unity, you can't. Yeah.
No, but you
nobody's talking to anybody.
But you unite around a certain set of policies.
Precisely.
Yes, and the policies have to be undergirded with the principle of the common good. The greatest opportunity for the most people, especially the most vulnerable.
Yeah.
No, they're clear flows from that in terms of agriculture, in terms of industry, in terms of education, in terms of security. All right, but health. But if you don't do that, then you are adding to the desperation rather than mitigating it.
Which is what is happening right now, because the people are saying, "Oh, the government is not taking care of our needs," but the opposition are ready. When you ask the people, why is them not ready? Them not united. We don't know what the shadow cabinet. We don't know what are their policies. No better, no there. We just drink rum and boom. That's why we take the loan to go to the party. We just have a kind of morphine for the time being. Tomorrow we just get up back and sleep up on the corner. Yeah, drink some rum and boom.
You know. If I were outside of Jamaica listening to you, I would have to ask you, why can't we go to work in the morning if we leave home at 6:30?
So
you cannot read downtown until 9.
But why? I just told you, Sir P.
Yeah.
The reason for that is that the cheapest loan in the banking system is to buy the car. And the roads are clogged up with cars. With our proper public transportation system, the way you can reverse that is to reduce the financing, cut off the financing. And we continue. Car loans are up by 55% since the start of this year. In Singapore, which we always love to talk about, apart from the money to buy the car, you have to get that money to pay the government to buy the car because they say too many cars are on the street.
Could I just draw your attention and your comment, please? The Minister of Transport yesterday announced bus fare increases.
Yes.
when
No, not bus fare.
taxi fare.
Yes, right.
Okay,
Bus fare.
so that's an issue though. Coming to it, the taxi fare now is $130, right? But everybody charge $150 because you don't have change.
Right.
Okay, so you add 16% to that now. Yes, that and take you to what 170 something.
So I'm going to take two.
Oh, go ahead. But of course,
two bills.
it's 2 bills money.
No,
Yeah.
but,
So
so you give 170, you give 75, 175.
where you carry that from? You carry coins in your pocket.
Say 2 bills more.
If you think,
Yeah,
Miss Bertha,
yeah.
when take up fair 200 and give you when the government says 175, you're wrong.
No, I'm not
Which
wrong.
is why you're going to have the war now.
You never drive off here that's going to
No,
get
no,
me 25 cents
No,
change.
sir, P. So there's why you guys have the war. Taxi driver stops passengers. Passengers stop taxi driver over $20.
It's just not. It's impractical.
Yeah, man. Doesn't make any sense.
It's not
Yeah.
going to work. And then at the same time, you're keeping JUTC fares, and you're taking $12 billion of taxpayers' money to bail out JUTC. Now, what on
So what you
earth?
say we should do with JCT?
You need a proper system which rationalizes the taxes with the buses, which regulates them properly. But listen, I listened to Daryl and a gentleman who I don't know at the Transport Authority, yes, talking about rationalizing the system. You can't rationalize the system. Why? One, because it is the same government who told people, anywhere you can come in and get a license. Yes, that was Minister Montague when he had it. Okay. Secondly, the majority of those cars out there are owned not by the drivers but owned by other people who are very often unable. You can't touch them. You have created an economic monster that you cannot yourself tame. I hope you will.
I hear
but
you.
I don't know how.
I've been hearing. I hear you, and I was hearing that when I was minister.
Yes.
And nobody
Yeah.
can come forth. It's a sweet talk
Yeah.
that every car out there is owned. A man came to me and said, Mr. Charles,
but-
a man said to me, Mr. Charles, you have about 10 in the bus, right?
So put the order into it then, sir.
Yeah.
We're watching you. But if you think some digital platform is going to stop what is going on between Putpeen and halfway through, you're wrong.
No, Ronnie, I am not in any way telling you that I could believe
So
that.
what are we doing? Why don't we deal with it? Daryl I want to believe him. He says he wants a public transportation system which is going to be civil, which is going to be lawful, on time, etc. I do not understand how he's going to get that.
Well, if it's not, yes, no, it will come when your son is in charge.
No. I'm not in. I have no such illusion. We have to look for radical solutions that are going to, in fact, look at inbred inefficiencies that we have. And I do not know that we are brave enough to do it, and I do not know that we're united enough to do it. And I follow you entirely, sir, when you say that the quest for power is probably going to. The power that could do that is going to be defeated by our contest for it.
Let me ask my last question, Professor. Is there a way you think that the two political leaders, the two political parties, could put what we are saying here together as a national objective?
Well, I think they should. Because, I mean, if they are thinking about the future of the country, and not just about grabbing power now, then that is something that they would do.
And in order to prevent it being a contest for one winner and the other losers, as one previous prime minister says, in our politics there's no silver medal. There's no silver medal. It's either the gold or nothing. Yes. If we came in with a disposition that said we are going to share power in the public interest, yes, then I believe that we would be they and people like us who have political, Pernell and I, who have political leanings, could in fact find some common cause, because it wouldn't be a question of the winner take all and the loser suck salt.
You don't have any great grandchildren yet, right?
No.
I have 5.
God bless you.
Yes, and I am saying I would hope that by my my 5 great grandchildren
Come
having great grandchildren,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
If this system continues,
Yeah.
who wins? Because remember, there's
Well,
no second.
Nobody's going to win.
There's no second.
Nobody's going to win.
Well, some-
And
There-
it-
there's no second.
Yeah.
If
Some,
you-
some
you-
big guys
it's
will
only
win with the
first.
money, but what they will do is live in fear and trepidation.
Precisely.
Yes, or in banality with their consumer goods, pack up their house and they can't afford it, or it means nothing anymore.
Precisely. And this is now even more imperative given the dysfunctionality of the Republic of the United States of America,
Exactly.
the world's biggest economy.
Which is what we always thought we were copying, which is no longer worth copying.
Right.
All right, Russ and Hammer, you're always helpful. Thanks for your company and your
Yeah,
colleaguery. Take care.
Bless
So, Herman,
Blessings, sir,
I
Pete.
thank you for saving me from running the state. But I still am unhappy that we don't have a system that we can say, okay,
We're going to work
this is
towards
not
it.
good. This is not good. Let's hit for this.
Well,
and that is where the cooperation is necessary. We
that's what we're
we can't
building
find
here.
that yet.
Yes.
Yeah,
Thanks-
man. Let's
thank-
keep working at it. Yeah,
Thanks
man.
for the company. And
Okay.
that's it for the Public
Okay.
Eye for today. Sir Pernell Charles, thank you so much, sir, for your company. Next week, if life is spared and God is willing, we'll be happy to join you again for the program. And to the people at Bridge 99 FM, especially you, Jeff, for your kindness and forbearance, we're grateful. And we hand you over now to the great music maestro on the Bridge 99.